Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Apogee, and today we're going to be talking about our consultancy services with our Managing Director, Mr. Jeremy Haigh.
Hi, Mike.
Hi. So, Jeremy, with our consultancy services, what do they cover?
They cover the initial searching. They go right from the very beginning of the utility development life cycle to its end. That includes point of connection applications to utilities. We do CDM risk assessments on behalf of clients. We manage their new connections and their diversions and any utility remediation. Essentially, it's feasibility studying all the way to meters on.
And how does that help companies reduce their costs?
So one of the things that I constantly talk about are clients concentrating on their core business and allowing us to focus on the process and to allow us to have plenty of time to negotiate specific solutions for our clients. It's not just about regulation. It's about enabling us to examine all of the potential options for new connections with the independent connection providers, the independent network operators, but it's also about us looking at value engineering as well, and that's enabling the client to design the site most effectively to avoid utility conflict.
What qualifications or certifications are typically required for a consultant to work here at Apogee?
So we do the bulk of our training internally because kind of a specialist market, but we follow the utility discovery pro-qual training methods and qualifications. We also ask our staff to follow the CSCS site card pathway, and we also train them on project management and anything that is kind of construction project related.
Okay. What are the current trends that we are facing at the moment?
Okay, so obviously the market's got some difficulties in understanding residential property values, but when it comes to utility infrastructure, there are big challenges in the last mile delivery of energy supply. And there are an abundance of changing rules around how the traditional network operators deliver capacity to sites and who pays for what. And it's becoming an ever more complex regulatory environment. And that's how a utility consultant like Apogee adds real value to their developer clients' projects.
So how do we help organisations navigate regulation challenges, especially in the energy sector?
Yeah, so in the energy sector, we negotiate diversity in loadings, we negotiate compromising on behalf of the developer with their requirements in order to fit in with the geography of points of connection and whether or not we're talking about multiple points of connection. So there's lots of things that we can do to add value to connections projects. When it comes to the diversions aspects of what we do, it's about taking the client through a very carefully designed methodology that begins with proper utility discovery and making absolutely sure that developers are paying for the right diversions and the right utility remediation depending on the circumstances in which the client and the site finds itself.
What are the typical fee structures or pricing models?
Yeah, so we offer fixed fees on every project. So tightly defined scopes. One of the things that we're very careful about is making sure that the client properly understands what we're doing and what they're paying for and where they're paying for each stage of the process. Gone are the days of quantum fees and uncertainty as to what a utility consultant like Apogee costs. We deliver absolute certainty for the services that we provide.
And what's the importance of risk management in the consultancy services?
Yep. So understanding a client's risk inside the CDM regulations is extremely important because historically the pre-contract health and safety pack has been the responsibility of the main contractor, whereas now it's the responsibility of the principal designer, where the client's appointed a principal designer. But actually what happens is that the utility risks often get kind of missed from one stage to another, depending on how the client manages the utility problem. And what I mean by that is that most clients acquire sites, design them, and then construct them. But the utility element of any project needs to be considered. What we say is pre-exchange of any form of contract. That risk and the utility discovery aspect needs to be taken right from initial feasibility into the CDM risk assessment for the pre-contract health and safety pack and throughout the project to its completion.
How does Apogee collaborate with stakeholders to achieve its project goals, especially in terms of government agencies and technology providers?
Yeah, so we spend a lot of time looking at the industry developers groups, with the network operators, understanding how they are endeavouring to improve their engagement with not only utility consultants but also with the developer community as a whole. And again, the main reason for that is to enable our clients to concentrate on what they're good at, so that we can help them manage the utility development problem as effectively as possible.
So what role do utilities play to ensure the safety of the construction sites?
Yeah, so they provide the best utility information that they can in order to assist developers understand what might be in the ground at the initial feasibility study stages. But they have fairly proactive plant protection teams that you can engage with. They also help all developers to go through the process. It's about understanding how to engage them from our point of view and helping the client understand which utilities follow what processes and how those processes are followed.
And what are the challenges construction companies face when dealing with utility plant relocations?
Yeah, so one of the main challenges is understanding where utilities actually are when some of the records can be unreliable. It's also understanding at what depth each utility is supposed to be laid and where they're actually laid. So making sure that adequate utility discovery is done right from the outset is extremely important to managing the entire utility problem.
What kind of permits and approvals are typically required for utility companies before they start a construction project?
So they need to get all sorts of approvals from local authorities and sort of safe dig permits and all of that kind of thing. And these things take time for any utility project, and making sure that that's properly managed to meet the client's programme is something that we focus very heavily on.
And how do utility companies manage the increased demand for services in rapid growth areas?
So, as I said before, that's very difficult for them because they've constantly got changing environments in the capacity that is being used by even neighbouring properties as they just change their electrical loading requirements from 1 month to the next. And that's what I'm talking about in relation to making sure that clients properly engage utility companies around what sites are ready for development and truly ready to be built. And that's important to make sure that things hit the programme.
How do construction companies mitigate the risks associated with digging near underground utilities?
Yeah, so that's following the clear guidance set out in HSG 47 and British Standards Institute's PAS 128, and making sure that the appropriate level of utility discovery is done at the appropriate point in the utility development life cycle. But Mike, it begins with adequate utility searching. Then it's about doing the right surveys in the right place to ensure that there's proper utility conflict management, and as well as making sure that there's adequate guidance in any utility-based CDM risk assessment.
Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Mike.
No worries, thank you.